Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today's game reaction edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse. And really quick before we get into the video, guys, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, whether you're a new viewer or a returning viewer who hasn't hit that button yet. It'd be very appreciated. Yeah, I mean, short intro for that one, as you can tell. Not much to say on this game. 5-0 loss to the Ottawa Senators on Hockey Night in Canada. You're always excited for this Canadian team versus Canadian team matchup. A team, two teams that really don't like each other in Ottawa and Montreal, and fan bases that typically don't like each other either. But there was a lot of hype coming into tonight's game with Owen Beck being the emergency OHL call-up. I mean, he was excited, his family was in the stands, and I mean, this guy, a lot of people said he looked like maybe the most NHL-ready Habs prospect in training camp. Of course, he was only 18 years old, so he went back down to the OHL, and has been playing fairly well with Mississauga, and then got traded to Peterborough, where he slowed down a little bit, but still has looked good. He got the call above other guys like Philip Méchard, Joshua Waugh, and I thought he played pretty well tonight in his very limited minutes. He looked like he belonged on the NHL ice at least. He didn't really make too many mistakes, so I'm going to start this video with one of the few highlights from tonight in Owen Beck. And I'm just going to get all the good stuff out of the way early. Kirby Dach. This guy, no matter what, it felt like no one on this team was playing with any effort tonight, except for him sometimes. Now, obviously, it's not to say these guys weren't trying to win or anything, but Kirby Dach was the one guy that I could look at throughout the entire game and say, this guy is trying to put Montreal on his back to win. He is fighting for loose pucks, making great plays, getting great scoring chances. Things didn't bounce his way, but boy, he was the reason that, Montreal had even the tiniest bit of fight tonight. I mean, he should have scored a goal, let's be honest, in that first period. Was it the first period? But maybe it was, yeah, I think it was the first period, looking at my notes here. There was a bouncing puck. He had one shot on the rebound. It was saved by Forsberg, and then he got it again. Wide open cage. He slid it wide. He was right there on the side of the net. He just immediately brought his head like that. He knew he missed a sure goal. That would have put Montreal up 1-0, and I think set the tone for the game. Unfortunately, he missed, and we ended up out of the period 0-0. I mean, we hit a bunch of posts in this game, especially in the first period. One I wanted to mention was Alex Belzile, a guy who still is looking for his first NHL goal, and that's now back-to-back games where he's beat the goaltender, but not the post. So overall, the first period wasn't terrible. The dock line looked amazing again tonight. Again, spearheaded by Kirby Dach. The other guys kind of looked but Kirby was doing everything he could to make things happen, and I mean, Montembeault looked very solid again in the first period. Mike Matheson actually had a chance very late where he caught the puck basically point blank and got robbed by Forsberg. But after the first period, we go into the second, and this is where the second period has a bit of controversy around it, right? Yeah, we gave up 3 goals, 2 to Giroux, 1 to Alex DeBrincat. There's no getting around that. But one thing I wanted to ask you guys, one thing that, I'm going to give my opinion. I think the refs blew a couple calls there tonight, and I think that's what killed the momentum for Montreal. I think the reason Ottawa went up 3-0 is because of 2 very, very questionable penalties, especially the one on Hoffman, where, I mean, I felt like they just gave Ottawa the chances tonight. And Ottawa capitalized, sure. I mean, DeBrincat came in and had a nice shot on Montembeault. I believe it was blocker side, if I'm not mistaken. And Giroux off a nice rebound where no one was covering him. Just a wide open cage, the same kind of shot that Dach missed earlier in the game. Not karma, but just kind of, a coincidence. Dach misses almost that exact same shot, and Giroux pots it to put Ottawa up a big lead. And, I mean, there was no recovering from that. Montreal tried. They had some spurts where they looked all right. But, I mean, the physicality was kind of there. Jack-Eye was laying the body as much as he could. Anderson was really trying to lay the body too. But at the same time, a couple of these guys looked lazy. For every time Anderson went after a big hit, tried to be physical, we saw him just standing around on the defensive end, not doing anything. So I'm not really sure what to talk about in that second period. I mean, another thing I wanted to mention was the power play was just really terrible. I mean, again, awful. I mean, Alex Burrows, tonight's one of those games, I find it impossible to peg any individual person as good or bad. Well, I know Kirby was really the one good shining light tonight, but as for bad, I can't really blame Coach San Luis. I can't really blame Alex Burrows. It's been a constant problem with Burrows throughout this whole season. The power play has not clicked once. We can barely get a zone entry. Like, it's one thing to not be able to score when you're there 5-on-4 setting up in the offensive zone. It's another thing to not even be able to get into the offensive zone when you're on 5-on-4. Montreal literally has an easier time getting into the offensive zone 5-on-5 than 5-on-4. And later in the game, when we had an empty net, 6-on-5, it was no problem. I don't understand. It must be this power play scheme, this 5-on-4 scheme, that other teams either have it worked out, or Montreal is just not executing, or the plan itself is complete garbage. I have no idea. But in that second period, we had chances to score, and we just couldn't do it, and we looked pathetic. And as we go into the third period, like, we had another power play where I don't even think we got a single zone entry. I'm not even kidding. Maybe we got one at the end, but even Chris Cuthbert, the announcer, who usually doesn't do Montreal games, of course, Toronto played last night there, so Cuthbert was doing the Montreal-Ottawa game tonight, and he said, like, Montreal has not gotten a zone entry on this power play, and they didn't, and it ended up costing them. I mean, that third period was a bit of a blur, honestly, because I was tired. Like, as much as I hate to say it, I didn't really want to watch this game after the second period. I was tired. I was just like, all right, this game is done, but because it wasn't one of those games where it felt like these guys came out with a spark. I watched the start of the third period. They came out with that same slow effort as they did in the second, and I was like, all right, well, this might be it. But I watched because I'm a fan. I'm a true fan, and I wanted to see these guys fight back. And sometimes they did. I mean, some people I haven't mentioned tonight is, Pezzetta, Harvey Pinard, Belzile. That line's still scrappy, still working hard, and I can't fault them for anything tonight. Pezzetta was actually on the penalty kill later in this game, so he's been getting a few looks there. Bit interesting. Harvey Pinard hustling as always. Obviously didn't put up the point totals he did in his last game. But Montreal just could not get anything going. We pulled the goalie with, we had a power play in the third. Didn't get anything going on it. Then we pulled the goalie after an offensive zone faceoff with, 5 minutes left, which is kind of a smart move. I think statistics show that if you pull your goalie with 6 or more minutes left, you actually have a better chance of coming back in the game. So San Luis goes ahead and pulls Monty, and we get a couple shots. Actually, I thought we looked really good 6-on-5. We had a lot of opportunities, a couple more posts. It felt like we legitimately hit 10 posts tonight. I don't know what happened. The luck just was not on Montreal's side at all tonight. But Kirby was impressing during that whole time. He was keeping the puck in. Matheson had a few nice plays at the line too, and Kirby was trying to create some chances. Suzuki looked all right. Something looks off with him over the past 15-20 games. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it's not a lingering injury he's playing through. Maybe it's just state of the team. Who knows? Maybe it's just a cold spill. Maybe he had a hot streak and his line mates got taken away from him, and now he's going through a cold spill playing with Rem Pitlick and Josh Anderson. Who knows? But I don't know. We hit a bunch of posts, and then the Senators score on an empty net. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, once that empty net goal went in, that little nice bank shot from their own zone, I thought that was kind of a cool shot. If I can give any positive or compliments to the other team tonight, I thought I was about to ready to record. I came into my little recording room here, and I sat down, and I started getting the base bar ready for this video, and I looked, and when I went to get the link for the base bar for the stats, it said 5-0. So I went back to my stream, and I rewound, and look at that. Brassard. And right after the empty net goal, the Ottawa Senators get it in their own zone, a little flip pass, just a nothing pass where they just sky it up into the air near the Habs blue line, and Justin Barron just, he watched the puck bounce and he guessed the wrong direction. I mean, in that situation, you got to sit a bit further back. Barron with a bad rookie mistake, and Brassard just comes in and takes it and gets a breakaway goal with Montembeault in the net. Snipes it glove side, top shelf, make it 5-0. And that was the point where it was just that's just frustration. That is just lack of effort. You're down 4-0. Come on, man. You got to make that play. I understand it bounced the way he wasn't expecting, and it's not entirely Barron's fault, but at the same time, it's a play that if your morale was already low, it just crashed through the floor with that extra goal. That just angers people. It makes people more frustrated, and I'm sure San Luis has some words for the guys in the locker room after this one. But at the end of the day, it's another loss. And I know a lot of you guys want these losses. I played the tank intro to the video. It's just a tough one, As a fan, as a guy who has watched every single game this season, it's these games are the ones that you don't really want to do a video after. It's just I'm kind of tired, I'm kind of done, I want to go to bed, as opposed to let's record and talk about the game. And I'm happy I get the opportunity to talk about the game with you guys. But it's one of those losses in a long, tanking, slow season that you feel tired. But the good thing is that there's some development. There is some good things coming out of this game, especially Kirby Dach. And seeing Owen Beck on the ice for the Montreal Canadiens was an amazing thing. Number 62. He looked all right in his debut. So all things considered, it's a loss. We move on from it. Ottawa's on a hot streak. Montreal just looked like they didn't have their legs tonight. You accept it, and you move on to the next game. that'll do it for this game reaction edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. I'm your host, Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.